YouTube, what's going on? Chris with Journals Comics and Pop Culture, doing a contest video today for fellow YouTuber Metarog. Go check him out, guys. This is like last minute because his contest actually ends tomorrow. So if you guys are watching this, I got a link to him below. Go check him out. Hey, if you want to do a contest, get it in by tomorrow too. I was trying to do one last weekend, didn't get to it. So Metarog, I subscribed to him maybe 2-3 weeks ago, and I'm loving his channel so far. I watched a good handful of videos. He's got some great, awesome, nostalgic stories. And for you guys that know me, I love some good stories. So this contest, if you go to his contest video and check out the basic rules, you got to be sub to NBA 18 and whatnot. The main thing that he wants us to do is talk about the event or the moment that got us into comic collecting. I'm going to actually talk about two separate events because there were two pivotal points in my life, I feel. So let's go into it, and let's start with the first event. I have talked about this before in a couple of my videos, but I will talk about the event that got me this book, which is the Whitman, or no, Random House, right? Yeah, Random House. It's not like a trade because it's still soft covered comic book that was on the rack at the Alpha Beta supermarket in the 80s. When I was about 5 years old, and my mom was grocery shopping and I was in the cart, and I remember grabbing it off the rack, and this just, to me, as far as I know, was my first comic book. It collects the 3 issues of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Adventure miniseries all in one here. So it is a thick book. It was, the miniseries was put out by Archie Comics. This was put out by Random House. I fell in love with Ninja Turtles at that point, and I fell in love with comics. And what I started doing with comic books in these early days was, being an artist, I would draw from them. So I would read the stories too, but I would go through them, and I would be so fascinated with the art, and I would look at it and copy the characters. Just to add to another early moment that really got me into comic book collecting was because I had a big brother, and his friends were cool, and I wanted to do everything that they wanted to do. And I remember following them to the comic book store, and they were totally into X-Men. And that was kind of, those are my first memories of actually going to a real comic book store and that experience. And I remember the experience just being, you know, you're in awe of these things, or at least I was. So, but yeah, it started at the supermarket, Alpha Beta, for those that remember. And it started with this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle book. And it was pretty, I was pretty hardcore, man, for up until I was about maybe 13. And this is going to lead me into my second event. But I became a wayward child and went through a lot of stuff, went through a lot of dark times. I won't even get into that. But I was a mess. And I was lucky enough to get out of it when I was about 18, senior year. I started waking up to life after such a downward spiral. But so of course I stopped collecting. I stopped doing anything positive during this time. So it wasn't until later though. Let's see. I was about, how old was I? It wasn't until 2006 when my love for, I kept most of my comics as far as I know from when I was a young kid. But then I ended up moving out of my parents' house. And by the time, in 2006, when I was like, 23, 24 years old, when Civil War came out. And to be honest, at this point, looking back, I don't know how I found out about it, but I did. And Civil War is what pulled me back in. Now, in 2007 is when I think I really dived into it, because I started working at Barnes & Noble. And yes, that's why I have the trade. I got a lot of my trades up here on my shelves from working at Barnes & Noble because you get a discount. I think we got like 30% or something. So when I was working there, I was buying a lot of trades. And I bought almost every trade they had of the Civil War and Civil War tie-ins and whatnot. And it was this storyline and this event that really brought me back into comics after, like, you know, a 9-year hiatus. And it was big for me because from there, that's when I really never looked back. I remember because at that point in time, my comic book collection was still at my parents' house. So I remember going back to my parents' house, grabbing all my stuff, moving it back into where I was staying, and just going back and reading everything again. I actually, in 2007, after I read all the Civil War stuff, I actually went back and started filling holes in my Amazing Spider-Man run because he's my favorite superhero, and Spectacular Spider-Man, and even Web of Spider-Man. And I started reading from the beginning. I even signed up for Marvel Unlimited online to have the digital copies. And I started with Amazing Fantasy 15, Amazing #1, and of course those I got the essential books from Barnes and Noble, which are the black and white trades that were, because they're cheaper that way. It sucked reading these comics in black and white, but hey, I wanted to read the stories. I went all the way back, and it took me until, so issue 700 came out in 2012. I think it took me to about 2014 to finally get to 700. And keep in mind, I read everything. So I was reading Amazing Spider-Man when Spectacular Spider-Man came in 76. I read that, and then Web Of came in 83, 84. And so I would read them all together. Because back then, when you have multiple runs of a character, they really tied in. It's kind of different now. And I read them all. I even read all the little silly side stories and one-shots as much as I can get my hands on. So it was a journey, man. 7 years to get to 700, as well as all the other titles. So I was doing a lot of reading. And what was awesome about that time period is my son read along with me, and he was keeping up. He went back and read the early ones from the essential books, and it was awesome. So that's kind of my story, guys. Yeah, Civil War really got me back into it, and ever since then, it's been a part of me, and it really brought me back to my childhood and allowed me to get back into finding a piece of me that was lost along the way. So there it is. That's my story. Now, before I wrap up here, guys, one other thing that we need to do for the contest entry is give a shout out to another YouTuber that is kind of on has a low sub right now that we would like to see get more subs. And I'm going to give a shout out to Bubs Comics, which I will leave a link below as well for him. Actually, I just found his channel today, and he's doing a 100 sub contest, and I think I'm going to make a video for that as well. And he's at 140 subs right now too. So let's get him some more, guys. Go check him out and sub him up. His contest was really, really unique, and it just it inspired me. So I was like, this is exciting. This is cool. So another good guy in the community. I don't know how long he's been doing YouTube and has had his channel. I'm gonna go check him out a little more tonight. So, but check him out. So again, guys, Metarog, link below. If you're not subscribed to him, check him out. And remember, you got about 36 hours from when I'm filming this to get a contest entry in for him. And then I will leave that link for Bubs Comics. And he's got a contest too, so sub him up. Check his contest out as well. As for me, if you're not sub, give me a sub, guys. I still have to do my 500 sub contest that I've been procrastinating on. Hopefully I'll get that done this weekend. Other than that, that's my story. That's my video. That's my entry. Metarog, thank you so much for having this contest. Thanks for being part of this community. Until next time, guys.